For over 2 years now, I've been collecting a bunch of Big Finish audios. Some good, some bad, some, well, Zagreus. But you may want to know where it all began. What I think of my very first Big Finish experience. So that's why today, on the Whoniversals, I'm going to be reviewing Dark Eyes for you all. Enjoy. Dark Eyes is the first box set in the Dark Eyes series. It was released in November 2012 and it stars Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor and Ruth Bradley as Molly O'Sullivan. It was written and directed by Dalek voice actor Nicholas Briggs. So up first we have The Great War, which starts out with the Doctor being melancholic after the events of Lucy Miller and To the Death, wanting to see the spectacle of the end of the universe, because he's looking for hope, which he'd eventually find out in his 10th incarnation. The spectacle of tattooed humans with sharp teeth. But then, the Time Lord stopped him and got Straxus to appear in his TARDIS to tell him, nope, you can't go to the end of the universe. Then presumably he sends him on a mission to find hope in the audio version of what we would call off-screen. We cut to No Man's Land sometime during World War I, where we meet Molly O'Sullivan and her friend Isabel Stanford, Vads from, well, World War I. Molly is who the set is named after, due to her having the titular dark eyes, and she's kind of a bitch, but an understandable one. Like, given when she's from, her reactions are understandable. Said reactions involve her seeing what seems to be glowing gas. It's actually something called the Time Winds, so something alien is happening. So the Doctor is tied up in receiving a blood transfusion by an American evil doctor person called Dr. Sturgis, and it's killing him. Eventually gets out with the help of Molly, and then we get the cliffhanger of who was behind all this, which was foreshadowed throughout this entire story. The Daleks! Speaking of, I like the way they were handled in this story. They were quietly moving about and exterminating in the background, which gives them this eerie presence which you don't see much in Dalek stories. So overall, this was a good introduction and a good listen. 9 out of 10. Up next we have Fugitives, which crams too many ideas into one. So it picks up where the Great War left off. The Doctor and Molly run back into the TARDIS. The Doctor accidentally brings Molly to the Second World War in Dunkirk. Yes, the bit that's in the movie. Before going to 1972 and stumbles across Dr. Sally Armstrong, who works for the Ides Institute, before 1970s London gets infested with Daleks. Which after that, somehow Molly flies the TARDIS away, then the Doctor flies to the planet Halalka, where they do anti-gravity swimming, and this is way too much to cram into 60 minutes, and it's basically the poster child for needs more time syndrome. So yeah, Briggs tried to fit in about 2.5 stories into this one. This may be because this box set might have originally started up as an EGA Series 5, which is very apparent on a re-listen. To his credit, Briggs did add segments to give us a break from this roller coaster in the form of flashbacks, as well as Straxus jumping off a cliff. This will be explained. We also learn that the Daleks have a plan to wipe out the Time Lords from existence, so they can be rulers of the universe. Just thought I'd mention this here. Molly and the Doctor do bond, which is this story's contribution to making this box set good. I don't really know what to say about this one, other than I think it really should have been separated into 3 stories to work. But everything else about it does work. I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. Up next is Tangled Web, which had the same issues as Fugitives, but it flows much better. Instead of doing what I did for Fugitives, I'll go through it slowly. So the Doctor and Molly try to find out why she can pilot the TARDIS. So they go to Ireland in 1893 to find out the main villain who is working for the Daleks, named Cotris. I've not talked about Cotris that much. He'd been more in the background in the first few stories, but he takes more center stage a bit more in this one. Don't know if that was good grammar, but oh well. And he's wonderful. I can't say much about him. It's just Toby Jones's delivery and Briggs's writing makes this character it makes you want more of him. Anyway, back to the plot. Cottress found little baby Molly in the rain and brought her into his TARDIS, and then brought her back to her parents, yada yada yada. Then, one of the best sequences in a Big Finish Doctor Who audio happens. The Doctor and Molly are taken to a version of Skaro, decorated with flowers, and then the Daleks are playing with children and having naps in their old casings. This is one of the best ideas in an audio. My issue is, I wanted this bit as its own separate release, either as a monthly or as a separate episode of the EDAs, which it probably was originally. However, I think this bit is worth the price of the box set alone. The expensive price. Okay, you get 5 hours of content as well. Just deal with it by somehow gathering your money and spending it. However, this bit ends when the Doctor realises it's an induced reality created by his subconscious, designed to stop him so Cottress could win, which he doesn't, of course. Tangled Web has good ideas, like Fugitives, except they are better ones and they weave together very nicely. I would give it a 10, but the fact that it had a similar problem to Fugitives made it slightly less good in my eyes, but it's still amazing. 9 out of 10. And finally, we get to X and the Daleks, which, yes, that title exists, and there's not much to say. The Doctor and Molly land on the planet Strangor in the 1890s in terms of Earth time, and they find out about a space-time projector which gave Molly her dark eyes. Cottress is behind it all, as well as the Daleks. The Doctor stops him. The end. Okay, it's not that simple, but pretty much. It involves time travel, the weapon that will erase the Time Lords from existence, and if you don't want this part spoiled, which it should be a given, I tend to spoil things around here, so I suggest clicking off this video and listening to Dark Eyes yourself if you have the money for it. Basically, Cottress is the next incarnation of Straxus, who grew bitter towards the Time Lords and their dastardly deeds, that he was willing to wipe them out, and augmented his DNA to remove any heritage towards the Time Lords in order to see his own utopia without them. But he stopped because the Dalek exterminated Straxus, and because of the retrogenita particles that made Molly's eyes dark, he couldn't regenerate, erasing Cottress from existence, which stops the Dalek time controller's plans. Oh yeah, he's in it. All in all, it's a satisfying conclusion. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. So in conclusion, Dark Eyes is a good set, and a great introduction to Big Finish. Paul McGann is great as always, Ruth Bradley does a stellar job as Molly O'Sullivan, Nick Briggs as the Dalek Time Controller is very fun to listen to, and the rest of the cast did a wonderful job. I give Dark Eyes, as a whole, an 8 out of 10. So that's it for my Dark Eyes review. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you think of Dark Eyes, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.